final video of notes. So I have 4 total examples here. I covered up the last one because that is one that if you want to try on your own and kind of see, did you get it right? I have the answers covered up. So we're going to do the entire thing. Domain, range, increasing, decreasing, x and y intercepts. We're doing it all. It can be very overwhelming. Take it slow. Take it slow, use Post-its. You'll navigate these just fine. So what I do is when I do these problems, sometimes I write a few reminders off to the side for me so I know what's going on. So I know domain is interested in x, range is interested in y. Domain and range, we're interested in parentheses and brackets. Everything else after that is parentheses only. So increasing and decreasing, we're all about x's, x and y intercepts. We have done those before. So let's get to it. So I'm going to start with domain. I'm going to find the leftmost point here because domain is about left and right. Leftmost point is here. The rightmost point, there is none. We have an arrow that continues on forever and ever and ever. So there is no right Post-it. It just continues on forever. So the domain, the leftmost point here, let's figure out some numbers. I see on the x-axis we are at -3. And on the right, since we're going off forever and ever and ever in the positive direction, we have positive infinity. Positive infinity. So I did my Post-its. Now I got my numbers. Now it's time to figure out parentheses or brackets because we're interested in that up here. On the left side, I see an open circle. So the left side of my answer is going to be parentheses. Left side open circle. Left side of my answer, parentheses. Right side is an arrow. Arrows are always going to get parentheses. So there's the domain. Then we move on to range. Range is about low to high. Low to high. So the lowest point is right here. That's the lowest my graph goes. The highest it goes, there is no point because my graph is going to continue on upwards forever and ever. There is no high point. So for my range, I need to write the value of my lowest point, and then I'm going to use something else for the high point. The lowest we go on this y-axis is to -2. So for my answer, I'm going to start with a -2. The highest we go, I got an arrow on forever and ever and ever, so that is going to be positive infinity because I'm heading in the positive direction. After I got my numbers, it's time to move on to brackets versus parentheses. Since we have a filled in circle, I need to start with a bracket. Since we finish with an arrow, that is going to be a parentheses. So that's domain and range one more time. Now we need to move on to increasing and decreasing. This doesn't have to be that hard. Just take your finger and trace your graph from the left to the right. So if I were to trace this, my finger would go like this and then turn and move that direction. It would come down, then it would go up. It would come down, then it would turn and go up. So I'm decreasing here and I'm increasing there. So what I want to do is I'm again use my Post-its and kind of just get a snapshot of where does this increasing happen. It starts here and it ends, obviously with an arrow. So this is all increasing that I see. That is all going up. So I just need to talk about what's the left side here, what's the right side, slap some parentheses around it, we're good. So the left side, we are on the x-axis at -2, put a comma. On the right side, my graph continues on upwards in a positive direction, so we have a positive infinity. No need to worry about parentheses versus brackets. Nice and easy for these. It is always parentheses. Next, I got to figure out where this graph is decreasing. So when we traced it, we went down, then up. So this little section here, so there's the left part, is where I'm decreasing. It's where I'm decreasing. This little snapshot right there, that is a graph that is coming down. Okay, when we trace it, we're coming down. So I just got to figure out my 2 x values there. We're set. So on the left side, that x value there, it's hard to see, but the left is -3. The right there, the x-axis, is -2. So the decrease happens from -3 to -2. After that, slap some parentheses around it, nothing to it. Final thing we need to do is we need to identify any x and y intercepts. This one's a little bit rough because it's in between some points. Not the greatest example in the world, but hopefully some future examples will help you out here. We cross the x-axis right there, right there. We do not cross at this point because it's an open circle. So it does not cross over here, only to the right. So I'm going to write the x value here. The y value is just going to stay 0. So the x value here, I'm going to call that a half, so 0.5. So 0.50 is my x-intercept. My y-intercept, we're crossing a little bit below right here. That's the only point in red. For y-intercepts, your x is going to start with 0. You just got to write a number for y. Y-intercepts, write a number for y. That point that we cross is negative a half. Negative a half. There you go. Nothing to it. Let's get another one rolling. So I'm going to move a little bit faster, especially on the domain and range. I'll slow down when I get to increasing and decreasing. So we've done tons of these. Domain, I would put my left post-it, put my right post-it for domain. This is going from -4 to +5. Bracket on the left, parentheses on the right. So I tackled my domain there, left to right. Range, we got to do high and low. So on the low point, we are down here. That's the lowest we go. The highest we go is right here. Okay, so I just got to figure out my low point, figure out my high point, and go from there. At the low point, we're at a y value of -2. At the high point, we're at a y value of, appears to be 3. Appears to be 3. On the low end, filled in circles, so we got a bracket. On the high end, we got a filled in circle, so we got another bracket. So I went a little bit fast through domain and range, but we've done, oh my goodness, so many examples. Increasing and decreasing, increasing and decreasing. So again, it's just taking that snapshot of where these things are happening. So increasing, if I trace this graph from left to right, I'm tracing it. My finger goes up, my finger comes down. So the increase is over here. The decrease is over there because we go up, then we go down. I like to use Post-its to try and figure out my numbers. It helps me get a snapshot of what I'm looking for. So here's the left and the right of my increasing. Left side, it looks like the x value there is -4. On the right side, where my increasing stops, is +1. So parentheses around that. The decreasing, it happens in this section. So I'm going to kind of cover up everything I don't need. Start here and there. So that's where my decreasing happens. Again, I'm looking at the x-axis for where this starts and ends. So it starts at 1. I know it's kind of out, but 1, and ends at 5. So I'm going to put a 1, 5, 2 parentheses around it. After that, x and y intercepts, and we're set. So the x-intercepts, looks like we cross on the left over here. I'm going to really bold that in. And we cross on the right. So we have 2 x-intercepts. So we need to write both of them down. So on the left side, it happens at -20 is the coordinates of that left x-intercept. On the right, that x-intercept is at 40. So there's my 2 x-intercepts. Got to figure out my y-intercept, so where we're crossing the y-axis, that's happening up top. Got to figure out the coordinates there. It's always going to start with 0, and then just find the value of the y. The value of the y there is 2. Okay. One final example, and then you could pause me and see if you could try the last one on your own. So I'm going to move a little bit quick through the domain and range. I will slow down for everything else. So domain, going through the motions, left, right, low, high for domain and range. So there's left and there's right for my domain. Left side, we're at -3. Right side, we're at +3. And we got a closed circle and a closed circle, so we're talking bracket, bracket. That's domain. To switch to range, we're now talking low to high, low to high. So the lowest point we go is right here. The highest we go is right there. Okay, so all my graph is still showing low to high. The lowest we can possibly go on this y-axis is when we have 0. The highest we can go on this y-axis is at 4. So I got 0, 4 there. At the low point, we have a closed circle, so I'm going to use a bracket. At the high end, we have a closed circle, so I'm going to use another bracket. So we don't have to worry about parentheses versus brackets anymore. We are parentheses the rest of the way. So it's a little bit jammed here. I'll try and space it out as I write. So increasing as we trace our finger along here. Starting from the left, we go up, we go down, and then we go up. So there's 2 points where we go up. We go up, we go down, and we go up. So my answers better reflect that. So there's 2 points where we go up, and there's only 1 point where we go down. So the up, I'll write down the first one. The first up is from here to there. It goes to those 2 points. That is an increase. The graph is going up. So the increase begins at -3. And then it ends, if we look at the x-axis here, so it says -3, -2, ends at -1. So we go from -3 to -1, and because there is another one, over here we start going up at this point, and then we stop. That is another point where our graph is going up. So the increase begins at, looks like 2, and ends at 3. So 2, 3. Then I just got to figure out my decrease, intercepts, and we're set. So decrease, there's only 1 point where this graph decreases because we went up, down, up. The decrease is going to happen in this section right here. The decrease happens in that section right there. I'm only interested in the x-axis numbers. So the leftmost x-axis number is -1. The rightmost is 2. So the decrease happens from -1 to +2, slap parentheses around it. That is increasing and decreasing. Only thing left to do is identify any x or y intercepts, and then we are done. I'm a little bit cramped for space, so these will droop a little bit lower. X-intercept, we only cross the x-axis way down here, and it is a filled-in circle, so we include it. If it was an open circle, it would not be counted. So this happens, it looks like at +2. This is the x-intercept. +2, 0 is my x-intercept. For my y-intercept, we cross all the way up top. Up top. The coordinates there is we're going to start with a 0, but the y value there that I see is 2, so 0, 2. Okay, I know I went a little bit fast. If you need to rewind and see these again, do it. That's just kind of what we got. At this point, I would pause me and try this final problem on your own. Pause me and try this final problem on your own, and then I will reveal it. You could pause me one more time to check your answers, and then you are set. So there's your pause time. Here is the answers for the final one, and you can pause me right now. Once you have finished all of these problems, what you need to do is on the next page is a problem that says homework features of graphs. That is what you need to turn in for homework tonight. Okay, it's a lot of work. If you made it this far in the videos, I really appreciate you. It's a huge pain when family is sick. There's nothing more frustrating than when my family is sick, I show up back to school and kids just didn't do anything. So those of you that made it this far, I really appreciate you helping me out when I'm obviously dealing with other things. So hopefully see you soon.